and my fellow ministers and members of the respective House of Representatives. Mr. Speaker, I would like to acknowledge the House on ongoing collaboration, support, and willingness to represent and advocate the voice and inspiration of our people at the higher level of governance. Mr. Speaker, this statement updates the House on the implementation and achievement of identified priorities for community development within the first 3 months of this year, 2024. Mr. Speaker, the statement will also highlight the major priorities including upcoming programs and events the Ministry and the Department of Community Development will implementing within this year. Mr. Speaker, I must also notify the House that the design of implementation of all major priorities for 2024 and beyond will be guided by the Department's Corporate Plan 2023 and 2027. Major policies and individual section management action plan for 2024. Mr. Speaker, the Department has plans and policies are considered within the social sector strategic priority areas of the Bougainville Integrated Strategic BHIDP 2023 to 2027 that seeks to set strategic pathways for the realization of the Bougainville Vision 2052. Mr. Speaker, major achievement of department within the first quarter of 2024 has been development and completion of its major plans, policies, and legislations. Mr. Speaker, the Department of Community Development has successfully submitted its 3-year corporate plan within this month, within the time frame set by the Office of the Chief Secretary. Mr. Speaker, the Department of Community Development has also successfully completed 2 of its major policies on the ABG, NGOs, CSO, church partnership, and gender equality, women empowerment and peace and security policy. Mr. Speaker, these 2 policies have been currently endorsed by the Bougainville Executive Council during the first BEC meeting within this month in Arawa. Mr. Speaker, the Department is now working towards unpacking the major key policies areas of these 2 policies. Mr. Speaker, through this process, the key policies areas of these policies will be further translated into specific programs for supporting community development services delivery in Bougainville. Also, statement and talk long all policies last week mi pla long pes pla BC mi pla endo sim executive command mi endo sim tu pla policy long gender equality, women's empowerment and peace and security na blong NGOs. So now mi pla long look forward long policy blong youth and long ready to pa mi pla present him and molo policies we mi pla all priorities blong mi pla. Mr. Speaker, through this process, the key policies areas of these policies will be further translated into specific programs for supporting community development services delivery in Bougainville. Mr. Speaker, other major policies the Department is currently working towards completing this year are the Bougainville Arts and Culture and Music Policy, the Bougainville Sports Development Policy, and the Bougainville Youth Development Policy. Mr. Speaker, the Department will ensure that the policies are submitted to the BEC for endorsement within the next quarter of this year. Mr. Speaker, in line with its priorities for the development and completion of major policies, the Department is also progressing the completion of 4 proposed laws on family and child protection, Bougainville Civil Registry, censorship, and integrated community development. Mr. Speaker, the development of our major policies and legislations are directly in line with the ABG's priorities for the drawdown of powers and function, and accordingly seeks the implementation priorities, the sub-agreements 2021. Mr. Speaker, I will now proceed with updates on the major programs and events the Ministry and the Department of Community Development have prioritized to implement this year. Mr. Speaker, a major priority for the Department, apart from the policies and the legislations, to conduct ongoing consultation with the national counterparts, including the National Ministry for Community Development, the Department for Community Development and Religion, and their statutory agencies. Mr. Speaker, these consultations are significant for achieving our priorities on institutional strengthening, capacity development, organizational restructuring, and funding and resource procurement. Mr. Speaker, these consultations are also set to support the completion for our policies and legislation and to identify mechanisms that will support their implementation process in Bougainville. Mr. Speaker, the Ministry and the Department have also identified major events for implementation in 2024. Mr. Speaker, these events include PNG Games to be held in Mendi, Southern Highlands Province, September 2024, major arts and culture and music festival and events, 20 days human rights activism, which will cover International Disability Day, International Youth Day, International Children's Day, International AIDS Day, elimination of violence and against women. Mr. Speaker, major project the department has prioritized to implement in 2024 with respect to the 2024 ABG development budget allocation for 2024 for community development includes the Department of Community Development, the family support programs, censorship program, arts and culture support program, census support program. Mr. Speaker, the department has further developed individual management action plans within the budget and projected cash flows for this project has submitted to the ABG Department of Treasury and Finance. Mr. Speaker, this brief statement is reflection of the achievements of the Ministry and the Department of Community Development within the 3 months of this year. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Me like give me update to long ya, Mr. Speaker, long. Even got plan long mipla by got him this go long sila South Pacific game, but I'm not been work out because I be got plenty olo halfway me play no been go through long me play no been pass through long mulsem imitu part long sila South Pacific one me even no part long me that's why na allow me play. So now me look forward long this year but me play time best long me play so that in the next coming South Pacific game by me come a part long him. Na tu I'm really update me come no statement them long this PNG games we only been moving now by topic long Mendi. Madam Disla, thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Leader of Government Business.
Thank you, Assistant Speaker. Assistant Speaker,